Hello and welcome to this episode of Run a Profitable Gym. I am your host for the day, John Franklin, the CMO here at Two Brain Business, and joined with me is my coworker, Matt Temby, the head of sales. And if you want to help more people, grow your community, and make more money, this is the episode for you. So Matt, here we have three different sample gyms that are based off of actual gyms within Two Brain. We've anonymized some of the data, and we're just going to break down their metrics, and we're going to try and figure out where there are holes in the sales process, where they have gaps in the sales process, and how to fix it. So gym number one got 57 leads over the last 3 months. They had a 19% set rate, 100% show rate, a 91% close rate. Their current bottleneck is they're struggling to convert leads into no sweat intros or sales appointments, which makes sense with that 19% show rate. Seems very low, especially when I see 57 leads that at under 20 leads a month. I'm assuming all that is coming from organic. So they got to be relatively warm leads that are finding them through, Google My Business or something like that.
For sure.
And so they want to improve their set rate. So talk me through what you would tell this person to do if they wanted to get their set rate from 19, let's say, to 29%.
Yeah. So for these guys, set rate is the biggest lever where they're going to see ROI. And so this means having somebody on their team that is responsible for lead nurture, right? As you already mentioned, these people are probably coming in through an email inquiry or it's going directly through their website. So they've done a good job of building like brand presence and awareness, but they're just not getting to these people fast enough. So I'm guessing that this is probably an owner that is wearing all of the hats in their gym, and like they're just dropping the ball with one of the most important things that they could actually be doing, or they have a team that doesn't understand the urgency. So it's picking up the phone and dialing. You can use your gym management software to track where somebody's at in the process. The one downside to using a CRM, a customer relationship management tool, versus like a Google spreadsheet is that you can't see where each prospect is at over the course of X number of days. So for my gyms, we track over 5 days. Did we contact them in the morning and did we contact them in the evening? And so somebody is responsible for that every day. And so it's just very quick for me to audit in the morning to see, did we contact these people or not? And that's usually where there's gaps in the system. So they need to put together a process for tracking where each of these 57 leads are at, when they got contacted. And something that would be really good for the owner to be held accountable to themselves is documenting the time that lead came through. So that's very easy to find through your website versus the time and the date that they actually contacted them. So that then they can say, hey, I'm generally contacting people within 12 hours. Great. Can we go from 12 to 6 hours? Can we go from 6 to 2 hours? The faster you contact these people, the more likely you are to be able to set them.
So to put a visual on what Matt is talking about, he actually creates a Google spreadsheet within his gym where you have every single lead with their own line, and you source where that person came from, when they came in, and then you actually just follow every touch point, right, Matt?
Yep.
Okay, and then so that's what we're looking at here.
Yeah, there's a color coding system so that each team member that is part of this process knows exactly where somebody's at.
And then you have a general, and then you keep track of all your text calls, just like the total momentum in the sales pipeline here in a separate spreadsheet, right?
Yes,
that's what I'm looking
correct.
At here. Okay, Cool. So when Matt says, you want to nurture your leads, one of the steps that goes along with nurturing the leads is actually knowing where the leads are in the pipeline and tracking that data. For 57 leads, so less than 20 a month, that should be relatively easy to use. I guarantee if that gym owner puts in a tracking system like this and ensures that they're nurtured in a proper sequence and that nurturing is happening faster than it likely is now, we will see that set rate climb up here. Cool.
For sure.
So that's an easy one and a common one, right? That's probably one of the more common ones we see. People just like don't want to nurture the leads, or they do some sort of nurture, but it's not very robust, right?
For sure.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to Gym 2. So Gym 2 in the last 3 months got 153 leads. So that's a little over 50 a month. So that would lead me to believe they do paid ads. Is this a paid ads, Jim?
It is. Yep.
Okay, cool. With a 42% set rate, so more than double the previous gym. So that doesn't sound bad. That's pretty solid for paid ads.
Yeah. For
60,
paid ads, that's great.
yeah, and 60% show rate, which is so. Definitely like could do better on that, and a 66% close rate, which is definitely low. They said their current bottlenecks are poor objection handling and a poor sales presentation. So, what are you helping them with, Matt?
Yeah, so for these guys, they do have a gap in the show rate, so they need to put in more steps into manually confirming these appointments after they've been booked. And something that you can do, so in one of my gyms, if it's for personal training, because this is an access-based gym where we do a lot of personal training, we do incentivize them. If they come in for an NSI and then they sign up, they get a T-shirt that's like it's exclusive for like the personal training clients. So you could do something like that. Again, all of the gyms that we're working with within Two Brain are coaching gyms. So that is an incentive that you can say, hey, I have something here for you at the gym when you come in. That will definitely help improve that. But just the manual touch points, if you're leaning on your automations for people to show up, people know when you are using automations and they don't want to respond. They're never going to respond to that, or very rarely will they respond to that. So knowing that there's a human that's actually going to be waiting for them is really important. Now, for the close rate for these guys, they had not updated their sales script since 2022. It is 2025. And the biggest thing, John, I'm not sure if you want to pull this up in the NSI form for gym number 2. But the first thing that I'd point out, and this is what a lot of gyms do, unfortunately, is the first question that they have is, what are your goals? Goals are important as part of the discovery process. Again, you can go back to a podcast that we recorded last year about this. But what's most important is, what is the pain that they are trying to solve? What's the problem that this person has? And how can we improve their quality of life by solving that thing? If you don't start with the problem, there is no sale to be made, because the problem is their current state. The goal is a future state, and it's hard to have a strong emotional tie to it because you don't actually have it. And some people have never had that thing that they're working towards. So you need to start with the problem. So I would change the first question. And then they really don't have any deeper discovery questions here underneath it. Obviously, they don't have the problem, but if you scroll down, they only have a couple questions there. And then that's it. So they're not spending enough time in discovery, which is then leading to having a hard time objection handling, because they're just not getting enough connection with this person. And so the person doesn't feel like either they trust the person on the other side of the desk to solve their problem. And then the other piece is like, they're just not good at objection handling.
For the people listening along. So it looks like the flow is, you ask, what are your goals? Why are they important to you? Why are you ready to make a change now? From 1 to 10, how committed are you to actually making this change? And then it goes on to like a general health assessment. And so Matt kind of alluded to this, but when we see, a gym owner telling us struggling to handle objections, that usually means one of two things. What Matt said, they're usually not asking the right questions during discovery, so they're not getting enough information when they go into the pitch. So there isn't trust there, or they don't know how to structure the pitch in a way that's actually going to help solve the prospect's problem, or they're just kind of like rolling over, right? Because I think we talked about this before, Matt. There are plenty of people who are conditioned to just say no matter what you pitch them, even if it is something they actually want to do. So looking at this and hearing your assessment, I'm assuming that this is a discovery problem.
Yeah.
All right. So we got to ask better questions here. Let's move on to gym 3 here. We got 43 leads in the last 3 months. That's just under 15. So that's leads per month, which is going to be organic. 65% set rate. So they're doing a lot better than gym 1 was. 84% show rate, which is definitely above average. And a 79% close rate, which is also solid. So when we look at the current bottlenecks, I see not selling enough personal training and price objections. So while their process looks pretty good on the outside, to me at least, I believe when you were coaching them through this, their issue was they have too many people taking them up on their lower ticket stuff when they'd benefit more from their higher ticket stuff. Is that the correct the correct diagnostic of the problem here? Diagnosis?
It is. It is. And then the other thing that I just point out is, when you're looking at a sales process, it is married to your marketing. And so truly the biggest problem that I see for this gym is that they don't have enough leads. So that means that they're not doing enough marketing. And so if they can generate more leads, like based on the numbers that they currently have, now I wouldn't go crazy if they're going to turn on paid ads. They don't have, the owner is doing all of the lead nurturing. They're doing all of the selling. So they know that they only have so much capacity. So if they were doing maybe double the leads per month, that is still reasonable for one person to handle that entire process. Their percentages might go down by maybe 3 to 5%. But overall, if they were doubling the leads, their gym is going to grow significantly faster. So for pricing objections, this is probably a confidence thing. A lot of times gym owners they're going to default down to like the lowest barrier to entry, just because they don't have a lot of experience with sales. And then they're not selling enough personal training. Probably in most situations, this is because they're not leading with the thing that is most valuable.
So let's take a look at what the bottom end looks like here. All right. So there's a little more clarity on what you get for personal training.
Yep.
Why do you think they're struggling a lot more versus group training? Is it just the discrepancy in price, or you think it's just not selling with conviction, being okay, taking the downsell when probably should sell personal training?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't gone through the actual sales conversation with this owner, but it probably is conviction and not staying in the pocket when you're objection handling long enough to challenge that person to make the best decision for themselves. A lot of times we just want to help the person across from us, but instead of helping them most, we will settle for helping them at all because you might have a scarcity mindset of this person's going to get up and walk out the door. I'm never going to see them again. They're going to go to the gym across the street that I already know has cheaper prices than I do. But at the end of the day, it's not about pricing. It's about value. And if you have that conviction, somebody can feel that. So that's where I'd spend more time if I were them, and I'd work on generating more leads.
Yeah, because at under 15 leads a month, right, they get 3 extra a month. So that's 1 more every 10 days. That's a 20% improvement, right?
Yeah,
And they got a solid funnel. So some of those are going to trickle into closes.
for sure.
And so if you need help with objection handling, we did an entire podcast on it, and we'll link to it down below. Matt, I know we're getting close on time here. If people need more help, what should they do?
Yeah, they should book a call. You can do that through the Two Brain website, and they should talk to our team so that we can understand where their problems are at in their gym, and then we can walk them through how mentorship can help them solve those problems and have a better quality of life as a gym owner, both making more money and then having more freedom of time.
And that's going to do it for this week's episode of Run a Profitable Gym. If you got value out of this, be sure to like and subscribe and share this with a gym owner in need. We'll catch you next week, gym owner. Thanks for tuning in.